Let us rewind for a second and think about those vivid, heartbreaking hallucinations Sonny experienced a few months ago. We all saw the ghost of Morgan standing there, speaking to his father. At the time, everyone assumes that this was just a narrative device. Most viewers believe that the writers were simply exploring the profound, lingering guilt and grief that Sonny has never truly overcome. The obvious explanation seems to be that it was merely a manifestation of a broken man's psyche, a visual representation of the pain that constantly eats away at the mob boss's soul. We accepted it as an emotional beat, a tribute to a lost son, and nothing more than a fleeting glimpse into a shattered heart. Right now, the canvas is seemingly running out of formidable threats. Ross failed spectacularly and is out of the picture. Jens is currently facing a mountain of trouble, cornered by his enemies, and seemingly on the verge of losing his entire operation. If you ask me, a villain like Jens does not just go down quietly. If he is about to lose everything, he is going to need a final chess piece, an ultimate weapon that no one sees coming. And that brings us to the core of this behind the scenes possibility. What if Morgan never actually died in that horrific explosion all those years ago? The alternative story that is currently circulating as heavy speculation is absolutely chilling. Imagine this. Morgan survives the blast, but is severely injured and vulnerable. A shadow organization, perhaps connected to the very mercenaries we have been dealing with, swoops in and extracts him before anyone can find the body. For years, Morgan has been kept in a highly secure, undisclosed location. He has been subjected to intense psychological conditioning, his memories wiped clean, his identity erased. He was broken down and rebuilt into a lethal, unfeeling operative. A weapon designed to execute orders without a single ounce of human emotion or hesitation. And who is holding the leash to this human weapon? The rumor is that Jens is the secret handler, the architect of this entire nightmare. This hidden agenda perfectly explains why Morgan has been completely absent from the lives of Sonny and Carly for all these years. He wasn't dead. He was being forged in fire, locked away in a subterranean facility, and brainwashed to follow orders without a single moment of hesitation. Every trace of his former self was meticulously erased by psychological experts on Jens's payroll. Now that Jens is backed into a corner, facing the total collapse of his criminal syndicate, he is ready to unleash his masterpiece. Jens knows that the only way to truly destroy an empire as fortified as the one Sonny built is to strike it from the inside, using a blade that the target could never bring himself to block. It is a level of psychological warfare that surpasses anything we have seen before. There may be more going on here, and when we break down how this return could actually play out, we have to consider multiple scenarios. That's one possibility. Morgan's grand re-entrance will not be a tearful family reunion. Instead, scenario 1 suggests that his very first mission will be a highly coordinated tactical strike on a secure facility to rescue Jens. Imagine the sheer shock value of a masked operative tearing through armed guards, breaking Jens out of custody, and disappearing into the night, only for the audience to catch a glimpse of Morgan's cold, dead eyes under the tactical gear. Jens escapes to pull the strings from the shadows, leaving his weapon behind to finish the job. But another theory is far more devastating, pushing the boundaries of daytime television into incredibly dark territory. Scenario 2 completely changes the perspective on what Morgan's purpose actually is. What if Jens doesn't just want to escape his current predicament? What if his ultimate revenge is the complete and total annihilation of Sonny and everything he holds dear? In this scenario, Morgan is programmed with a single overriding unchangeable directive: assassinate the head of the family. He would be stalking the streets of his hometown, studying his target from the shadows, completely unaware that the man in his sniper's crosshairs is his own biological father. This would be the ultimate tragedy, a Shakespearean nightmare where Sonny is hunted by the child he has mourned for years, completely oblivious to the fact that his greatest threat shares his own blood. And then we have scenario 3, which brings a completely different player into the mix, Jason. Ever since Jason made his highly anticipated return, his behavior has been highly unusual. Most viewers believe he just needed to reconnect with Danny, taking him out of town for a father-son bonding trip to heal the wounds left by Sam's tragic passing. But what if the situation is being manipulated? What if Jason's sudden departure with Danny was not about healing, but about protection and preparation? Something about this feels hidden, and Jason's tactical mind is always 10 steps ahead. The speculation here is that during his extensive time in captivity, Jason stumbled upon a highly classified, heavily redacted file. A file that contained proof of Morgan's survival and his current status as a brainwashed operative under Jens's control. If Jason knows that a lethal programmed Morgan is heading back to execute a hit on Sonny, his actions make perfect sense. He took Danny out of town to secure him in a safe location, clearing the board of vulnerabilities before the storm hits. There is even a wild rumor that Jason might have taken Danny to see Sam, operating under the theory that she is secretly alive and hidden away, but the primary goal was getting his son out of the crossfire. Jason is not just returning to reunite with his loved ones, he is returning because he knows a catastrophic war is on the horizon. He knows the exact nature of the threat, and he knows that Sonny will never be able to pull the trigger on his own son, even in self-defense. This puts Jason in the most agonizing position of his entire life. He loves Morgan. He helped raise him, protected him from the darkness of their world, and mourned him when everyone thought he was gone forever. His first instinct, his primary goal, will undoubtedly be to capture Morgan alive, to somehow break through the layers of brainwashing and awaken the boy he remembers. Jason will try absolutely everything in his power to avoid a lethal outcome. He will try to trigger Morgan's buried memories, using familiar objects, names, and places to shatter Jens's psychological hold. He will risk his own life repeatedly, taking punches, cuts, and even bullets, just to get close enough to look Morgan in the eye and remind him of who he truly is. We can already picture the intense, emotionally charged confrontations in the dark alleys of the city, or perhaps on the very docks where so much family history has been written. Jason will refuse to fight back with lethal force, desperately trying to save the soul of his nephew while simultaneously protecting his best friend's life. He will plead, he will fight defensively, and he will absorb the physical punishment, hoping that a spark of the real Morgan still exists somewhere deep within that brainwashed mind. But this leads us to the most dangerous possibility. The boldest, most haunting theory that is currently making the rounds in the insider buzz. What if the brainwashing is too deep? What if Jens's programming is completely irreversible and Morgan has truly been reduced to nothing more than a biological machine incapable of love, memory, or mercy? If every attempt to reach Morgan fails and he is moments away from successfully executing his directive to kill Sonny, Jason will be forced to make an impossible choice. This is the scenario that will leave viewers completely speechless, staring at their screens in absolute shock. Jason, the loyal enforcer, the unwavering protector of the family, might have to be the one to put Morgan down permanently to save Sonny's life. Imagine the sheer devastation of that singular moment. The physical clash between two highly trained operatives, ending not in triumph, but in absolute, soul-crushing tragedy. It wouldn't just be a battle of bullets and fists. It would be a war between distorted loyalty and shattered family bonds. If Jason has to pull the trigger and kill Morgan, the fallout would destroy the family from the inside out, leaving nothing but ashes. Sonny would technically survive the assassination attempt, but he would be utterly broken, hollowed out by the horrifying knowledge that his son returned only to die by the hands of his trusted best friend. The cost of this victory would be astronomical. It would fundamentally alter the DNA of the show, leaving scars that could never be healed. Carly would be shattered, Sonny would be consumed by an entirely new, infinitely darker level of grief, and Jason would have to carry the burden of that fatal decision for the rest of his life. It is the kind of storytelling that is incredibly risky, but undeniably compelling. It turns a long-awaited resurrection into a psychological horror story, proving that sometimes the dead should stay buried deep beneath the earth. Of course, right now, this is all unconfirmed information. We don't have absolute proof that this is the direction the writers are taking. It could be true, or it could be entirely false. But you have to admit, The pieces fit together almost too perfectly. The empty void left by defeated villains, the strange timing of Jason's tactical moves, and those lingering, unexplained hallucinations all point toward a massive storm brewing on the horizon. There is definitely a hidden agenda at play, and I have a feeling we are only seeing the very tip of the iceberg. We will just have to wait and see what happens next. But I can promise you this, there is certainly something else going on that hasn't been told yet.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.